Starting.
Okay, so for week 2, cycle 1, my kids will be doing presentations on their favorite place that they've been to or a favorite vacation. They can bring in one item. This week they're going to be working on confidence. I have these sheets in my class for them to have poise, to smile, to have eye contact and volume, and then to have a good audience. They need to keep their mouth closed, have listening ears, and to sit still. So that's what I'm doing for presentations. For geography, I'm first going to start out with a world map where we go over the continents, and I have a continent song. Then we're going to do a blob map. Last week we just talked about the continents, and this week I'm going to also talk about the equator and the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. In geography, we have, looks like I don't have my marker with me that I was planning to have. I have 2 maps, one that I've marked for myself and one blank one. And it looks like we have the Red Sea, which is right here. It's this skinny little line. And then after the Red Sea, we have the Persian Gulf, which is right here. The Caspian Sea, which is right up here. The Black Sea, and the Babylon Empire, which the Babylon Empire was right around their Fertile Crescent, and the Assyrian Empire was right around the Fertile Crescent. So I looked all those up since I couldn't find it on CC Connected where they belonged. So I'm just going to reacquaint myself with that so that I know. And then with the English prepositions, the song goes, online they go kind of like do-do, do-do, and then they do their legs. And for the signs, they go about, above, across, after, against. And that's what they do in the song. I wasn't sure if this means after as much as behind, so if we want to think of something, or if we know the sign language for after that's better than that, then we can put that in there. With Latin, it's the same as last week, so I'm still going to just use the song and the different intonation, and I'm going to probably add some of the tapping that you did. So I'll do that for Latin. And with science, they have this week, what are the kingdoms of living things? And they have Animalia, Plantae, Fungi, Protista, and Monera. So what I did is I printed off 2 things from CC Connected. This one has the 5 kingdoms of living things, and I have a little toy elephant, I have a fern for the plant, I have a mushroom in a Ziploc baggie for the fungi, and for the Monera and the Protista, I might bring in some yogurt for the Monera, because Monera is a type of bacteria. So you can see my elephant and my fern and my fungi. And then I have this little sheet that's on CC Connected, and it just explains, I don't know if you can read it or not. Hold on one second. Just stay right there. So it talks about Moneras are simple cells, and most bacteria belong to Monera. So what I was thinking for these signs, since they're on this paper, the Animalia, we can do like an elephant. For Plantae, we could pretend like we're a plant coming out. Fungi, we could pretend to be a mushroom. It says Protista is a single cell with complex parts. So we could do a cell with like complexity in it, I was thinking for that. And Monera is a single cell, and in most bacteria is Monera, so I was thinking we could hold it up to our mouth and kind of like cough. Since most bacteria, or a lot of bacteria, makes us sick. But then I also want to point out that some bacteria is very good for our body too. One thing I saw that would be really good for the older class that I printed off for you would be this, which it talks about kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species, and within those, what it looks like while kind of diagramming a leopard, how you do that. I know my class that would be probably a little bit over their heads, but I think it would work out well for the younger ones. For math, the 3s are jingle bells, and on mine it says they're supposed to be jumping jacks, so it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, and then you go through. And then for 4, it's the tune of this old man, and it's toe touches. So it's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, and you'd be doing toe touches. For the history sentence, tell me about commandments 6 through 10. Thou shalt not kill, so I was going to hold up 6 and just do this across my throat. I know when we went to the practicum, they went like this to shoot someone, but that seemed a little violent, so we're just going to maybe do that. 7, do not commit adultery, so take your 2 fingers and you would kind of like remove your wedding ring or kind of like forsake it. 8 would be do not steal, so you would take your 5 fingers and steal your 3 fingers. Do not steal. 9, do not bear false witness. With this one, you have your fingers, and what you do is you make your thumb kind of like talking to these other fingers behind this one's back, is what I read online. If you could think of something better, you could even do this, do not bear false witness, because it's kind of like lying. So that would be 9, where the thumb is talking behind their back. And 10, do not covet. So I was thinking wanting something that's not yours, so grabbing from someone else and taking it with all 10 fingers. And for history, the acts and facts of the timeline, online they just do 7 wonders of the ancient world. But I feel like there's enough time there we could go the 7 wonders of the ancient world, just so that we get a 7 in there. And then they do patriarchs of Israel, Hittites, I always forget the Canaanites. So Hittites, is this it? Canaanites?
Yeah.
Cush, Assyrians, Babylonians, because they made the law. China Shang Dynasty is what I'm going to do for history. So that's what I'm going to do there. For fine arts, I have, this is probably the one I'm most prepared on, was for the mirror image. So what I did is I made this sign. It says mirror image, the opposite side of an object. And it says, break the object down to the 5 basic elements of shape. So what they do want you to do is take an object and say, look, here's the curvy line, here's the straight line, here's a dot, here's a circle. And then you talk about symmetry. Symmetry is being made up of exactly similar parts facing each other. I'm going to talk about faces and how while our bodies are bilaterally symmetric, our faces aren't necessarily symmetric and our skin tone on the outside. Sometimes we have a freckle on one side but not the other. But pretty much we have a leg on one side, a leg on the other side, arm on one side, arm on the other side. And you see it in the animal kingdom. You see it in ladybugs. They're symmetrical in their pattern, and I'm just going to talk about God's design. And then we talk a little bit about something that's symmetrical and something that's not. And then I made up this game where I have a symmetrical letter and a non-symmetrical letter. And I'm going to have the kids cut them in half and tell me if they're symmetric or non-symmetric. I'm going to laminate this M, cut it up into puzzle pieces, and have the kids put it together. And then I made up this, where I did half for half of an object, such as half of a triangle, half of a circle, half of an X, half of an A, and the kids will have to fill in the mirror image of the other side. Some of them I did the dot to dot so they'd have help. And then on this side I did half of a vase. And I was thinking, since we were studying ancient empires, they could finish the other half of the vase, the mirror image, and then design it using their basic shapes, like lots of angles and lines, and then color it, and we can cut these vases out and then use them at our mid-year potluck or our end-of-the-year open house, kind of like a design for the wall. So that's that. Now I'm looking for my science experiment. Sorry, this is taking so long. So for the science experiment this week, we have the telegraph lines and we have the fish belly up. So for the telegraph lines, I'm actually going to bring in a real spider, which I caught, and it has babies. Actually, I see a baby hanging down right now, so I'm just going to throw it outside so that baby can get away. And so here is what I printed off of CC Connected. This side is the telegraph lines, and I have the purpose, hypothesis, materials, procedures, results, and conclusion. I'm going to have my kids draw. The other side, I have the belly up for the fish with the procedure. I have the scientific method, which I'm going to go over with the kids. And then for week 2, the Bible verse that they had was Proverbs 5:22. A sinner is trapped by his own evil acts, and held tight by the ropes of his sins, and how we put on all of God's armor so we can stand firm against the devil's plans. So it talks about Satan wanting to trap us, just like a spider traps insects. They don't have a verse or a truth to go with the belly up. So if you think of one, let me know. That would help me out. And then with the belly up, they talk about bacteria living in the fish, that when it dies, it lets off oxygen, and that's why the fish floats. So we learned about that bacteria in the kingdoms of living things. So you can point that out, that bacteria is the Monera bacteria that lives in the fish's gut, and it produces that oxygen. So that, I believe, is everything I have. Some of the review games that I have, I was going to show them to you. I have the scientific method cut up. The kids have to put everything in order. I have the Latin pieces cut up where they have to put the noun cases in order, nominative, subject, and all that. And then I have the classifications of living things, and I'm going to try and make that up also for the animal one, where they put it in order. I have the north, south, east, west game. I have a rockets game that's really cool. I have some extras you can use, Tracy, for your class. And also during art time, I'm going to show things that are symmetrical or mirror image. If you cut it in half, it's a mirror image of itself on the other side, like a snowflake or a circle. I'm going to show some things that aren't mirror images. The things that I drew that they have to trace, I have the actual item in here, like the X. So if they get frustrated, they can just use the X to draw the other side. And then I have this bag of geometric shapes that I'm going to put on the table, where they can try and do a mirror image of something if it was flipped on the table, what it would look like, so that they can get an idea of what exactly mirror image is. So that's everything that I have, and we can do similar, hopefully, and then the kids have some kind of regularity through everything that we do. And if you think of adding something, or you think I could do something better, let me know, and we can switch it before Thursday. Thanks.